This is a Fox News alert. At any moment, the Iraqi military is set to launch a major offensive to take back the key city Ramadi from ISIS control. The military is now warning civilians to get out before Iraqi forces storm that city. Fox's correspondent Conor Powell is live in our Middle East bureau. Conor?
Greta, at this point, the city of Ramadi is effectively surrounded by Iraqi troops, while U.S.-led coalition planes continue to target ISIS positions in and around the city. But there's really little reason to think that this is going to be a quick military option. The battle for Ramadi has really been in the works now for months. Last year, Iraqi forces tried to launch an unsuccessful operation to retake the predominantly Sunni town. That operation, though, failed pretty quickly, once again showing how poorly organized the Iraqi military is and was. Now, U.S. trainers have spent most of this year trying to rebuild the Iraqi military, trying to get it up to speed. And so far, the Iraqi forces do seem to be making some progress. They've taken a key bridge leading into the city of Ramadi. They've also begun to cut ISIS supply lines. But make no mistake, this is really a siege battle plan encircling the city and squeezing ISIS over a long period of time. And that's really what we're looking at. U.S. officials are talking about months, not weeks or even days, for defeating ISIS in this area. Both Germany and the United States have announced that they are going to send additional troops to help the Iraqi military defeat ISIS. However, tonight, Greta, the Iraqi prime minister said his country doesn't need foreign troops on the ground there. History, though, says otherwise. The Iraqi troops are in desperate need of a lot of help, not only from the United States, but from a lot of other countries. They so far have just not proved effective in fighting ISIS on the ground. Greta.
Conor, thank you. In May, when Ramadi fell to ISIS, it sent shockwaves, signaling a major loss for Iraqi forces. Why is retaking Ramadi so critical? Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North is here to go on the record. First, Colonel, is it Ali? Why is Ramadi so important?
Well, it's the heartland of all the Sunni tribes in all of Iraq. Anbar province, the largest province, the capital of it is Ramadi. I've spent, I was trying to add up the number of deployments I made to Ramadi. It was over a dozen embeds that we did there over the course of that period of time when things were turning out right. The tribes, the awakening, all began in Ramadi. Of course, Fallujah got a lot of news back in April and again in November the year before in 14, but in 04. But by the time 06 got around, they targeted Zarqawi, who was in Ramadi, as the head of AQI, Al-Qaeda in Iraq, and the tribes had joined the Americans on it. The tribes have now been dissipated. And what's being played out, and Conor had it absolutely right, what's being played out is Iran's plan for the Euphrates River Valley. The Euphrates River Valley is key to supplying Hezbollah inside Syria and, of course, Lebanon. And that land route goes from the Iranian border through Baghdad all the way up the Euphrates River Valley. And without Ramadi, they can't deliver supplies by land to Hezbollah. So this is Tehran's plan. Now,
so why does the foreign minister, Iraqi foreign minister, say he needs no help? He doesn't need any help.
Because the Baghdad government is a wholly owned subsidiary of the Tehran Ayatollahs, and that's whose plan is being played out here.
Can Iraq, with the help of Iran or whatever, can they take back Ramadi?
I went through the intelligence today, and I looked at it. There are 13 Iranian-supported militia groups in Anbar province, in other words, west of Baghdad. You'd expect them to be in Baghdad because that's, of course, the Sadr militia's home. It's where al-Sistani recruited so many of them. But they're west of, up the Euphrates River Valley, west of there, and they're going to be actively engaged in this. It will be a bloodbath of biblical proportions if those militias, those Shiite militias supported by Iran, go into Ramadi.
Well, apparently that's the expectation. Well, they say Iraqi forces, but I assume with those militias, right?
Of course. And that's why this thing is going to be a disaster. What they should have done is, listen, you had on, as a guest on your show, Mudar Shakat, who sat right here and said, I, Mudar Shakat, with the National Salvation Front, can put together a Sunni opposition to ISIS. And he was ignored all over Washington.
He came here asking for help.
It did indeed. In fact,
not to the set, but to Capitol Hill.
Met with him over there. Congressman Steve King met with him while I was there just a few weeks ago. If the administration would like to know how bad things are, they could take the footage we shot over there, and you can see it. Ash Carter said today that we're going to send special operations forces to Iraq with the support of the Iraqi government to help Peshmerga. I'll believe it when I see it.
What do you make of the Joint Chief of Staff's chairman saying that ISIS is not contained in, which is directly contradicts the Commander-in-Chief, President Obama, the day before Paris?
I can recall when he was being asked during his confirmation hearings, Fighting Joe Dunford said, "I will speak truth to power." And he's doing just exactly that.
Why is he doing it? Is he doing it quietly before he does it publicly?
He was asked the question. He was asked the question today, are they contained? And the answer is no, they are not contained.
They're the two maps from February 2015 to November. The President says it's contained. Just look at the map. I mean, you just have to look at the red marks. You can see it's spreading.
It's not just in Syria and Iraq. You now have ISIS ensconced in Libya. You have them in the Sinai. You have them in Yemen. You have them in Nigeria.
Paris.
Well, in other words, it's certainly not contained. And the idea that they've somehow been rocked back on their fields is just as phony as Kerry saying that Ramadi is a setback that will be reversed in a matter of days. Here we are 6 months after he said it. You're about to see, if it actually takes place, a battle that is going to create enormous civilian casualties, because that's the way the Iranians fight, and it's going to be devastating.
Colonel, nice to see you, sir.
Good to be with you, Greta.